It's June 24th. Do you know where your Pac-12 games will be on TV in 2024? Like, we're basically a week away from San Diego State's buyout more than doubling. So if the Pac-12 is going to expand, they really need to do it ASAP. But it's tough to talk expansion when there's no media deal to hang as a carrot to entice other schools to join you. Unless, of course, you're expecting to maybe lose a school to another conference soon, Colorado. San Diego State would basically be a replacement for Colorado. And that's neither here nor there. And no worries, we're going to talk more about San Diego State in just a minute. Andrew Marchand from the New York Post has been diving back into the Pac-12 media rights negotiations, all that stuff. In the last few months, we've learned that ESPN is not going to pay basically anything for the rights. We've also heard about streamers, which networks are not interested, etc. And he broke it down on their latest podcast. That's the Marchand and Oran podcast. He said last week that, quote, Amazon is unlikely, CBS is a no, NBC USA is another no, Fox is a no too. Those are the biggest players. Then you get into Apple. They're a little bit of a wild card. I've heard certain things, but nothing definitively. I lean towards probably not with them. The Pac-12 has said they do not want to do an all-digital deal, and it looks like that's Apple's strategy. So that leaves the CW, Scripps, which is Ion, and those types of players. Now, he continued, if the Pac-12 got a deal with ESPN, it would probably be for low money, he said. I would be very surprised if the Pac-12 got the same amount of money from ESPN as the Big 12. Of course, these are very specific things that you're hearing from Marchand, right? Now, John Canzano, of course, Mr. Pac-12 Everything, reported this week that a source told him that the Pac-12 is confident that the conference will beat the Big 12's deal, but, considering that's supposed to pay out, $31.7 million per year, I still don't see how that's going to work. Now, this morning, Jim Williams, you can follow him on Twitter at JWMediaDC. He tweeted this morning that he spoke to two Pac-12 administrators who have been involved with the media rights deal, and they told him this: we are close to wrapping this up, and I think the media will be surprised to see how creative and forward-thinking a deal it is. Now, let me say this on the front end. I don't know of many deals that have been creative and forward-thinking that has been favorable to the fans of a brand or organization, right? I think Larry Scott's original idea of the independent Pac-12 network was forward-thinking, and now there's only about 15 million people in the country that can watch those networks, which has obviously gotten the Pac-12 into this situation. Now, while I trust Jim, I don't trust any of these sources anymore. Like, this is, it happened a long time ago, but it's turned into, the realignment version of 2 weeks to stop the spread, right? And we don't have to get into politics here, but you get what I'm saying. Everything has been, we expect it to be done soon, or we'll have it done in likely a couple more weeks. It's been the same answer since last fall. Going to open market was obviously a disastrous idea because it let the Big 12 get in and get their deal done before the Pac-12 was able to. I understand wanting to see what the market rate is, but Kleofkoff and company overestimated their worth in a big way. Like, the later we get into the summer, the less convinced that this is going to, the less convinced I am that this is going to end up well for George Kleofkoff and company. Like, we're a month away from July. That's a year away from the current deal expiring. These administrators still do not have figures to budget for the future. And speaking of the future, how about this? How about the whole San Diego State mess? Like, if you weren't keeping up, San Diego State sent a letter to the Mountain West Conference this week announcing their intentions to leave for another conference. But they stated it was not an official withdrawal. So they asked for an extension to officially leave because, as I said earlier, their buyout to the Mountain West Conference goes from $16.5 million to $34 million if they provide notice to the conference after June 30th. Now, this is all set up around TV deals, etc., right? They have to be able to plan for the future. Is San Diego State going to be a member of the conference or not? The Mountain West told them basically no can do on the extension, and that they won't approve a reduced exit fee or an installment plan for the school. And honestly, who could blame them? I mean, it's like telling your wife that you're leaving her for another woman, but, maybe you're asking to stay in the house a little bit longer until your new apartment's ready. I mean, the whole thing's just foolish. So there have been some people that have asked me, well, why doesn't San Diego State just go ahead and tell the Mountain West that they're leaving then? And the answer is pretty simple. they don't actually have an invitation from the Pac-12 yet. Until the media deal is done, there's no telling how much money the Pac-12 schools are going to be getting. And if they're still in negotiations, they got to be sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that San Diego State adds value instead of decreasing the amount each school is going to get in the new media rights deal. So let's continue with the analogy. It would be like officially divorcing your wife before knowing if the other woman actually wants to be with you, right? So if San Diego State leaves, the Mountain West could replace them quickly. And we don't have to get into who that might be with, etc. But it's not like they hadn't been doing their homework. I mean, this stuff leaked a long time ago about potential Pac-12 expansion. If the Mountain West doesn't have a spot for them and the Pac-12 doesn't invite them, is a San Diego State TV deal as an independent worth as much as their portion of the MWC deal? Likely not, considering they don't have very long to make a schedule for the 2024 season. I mean, you think about it, when you're leaving a conference, you give up, the Mountain West, I think, is 8 games. So you're giving up 8 games off your schedule. And I don't think you can just go to those schools and say, hey, we're going to be an independent, but you want to play us anyway? I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt that would happen. So the Pac-12, in my opinion, basically did San Diego State dirty. They got their hopes up, talked them into joining up with them without knowing whether or not they're going to have a spot even available. So let's take another analogy here. It's like getting your buddy worked up to come, he's going to quit his job and come work at your bigger company. And then he gets ready to quit, but you don't have the resources to be able to pay him. It's setting somebody up for failure. I got to tell you, I cannot believe that we are this far along. It is June 24th, and we have absolutely no idea what is going to happen. We got no clue. It is just mind-blowing. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter @GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.